is the general lack of mobility still for the Chinese consumers. We look at China's private car ownership, and that number probably still running just at about 4%. So people cannot quite get to the stores. So that creates a challenge for distribution and for retail development in China. Second is that China is also the world's biggest factory. So the consumers have access to many unbranded products that are much cheaper than what the global brands are charging. And the last factor, but still important, is the low delivery cost. The per delivery cost for a package in China today is well under $5, so it makes it very easy and affordable for people to shop online.
This is drastically improved. Beforehand, the Chinese delivery cost is double of Japanese cost, but now they are drastically reducing. Yes?
As the consumption and income continues to grow, we find that in general, discretionary items will grow the fastest. In particular, the area of leisure, what we call having fun, will likely see the biggest growth. And having fun includes going out to eat, going out to watch a movie, spending on sports. The other areas would include healthcare. Life expectancy is getting longer. And as the people are getting older, they're spending more money on healthcare. On top of that, we have a policy that lasted for the last 30 years is now starting to get discontinued, which is a single child policy. So we're seeing anything related to raising the kids, education, these areas are also seeing tremendous growth. There's a perception that the China consumption story has already played out. In the coming decade, in a way, the story is even more exciting as the next couple 100 million people see their income doubling and they're entering the middle class. So that migration will continue to be a powerful driver of the China consumption.
He said currently 100 million is middle class, and next 10 years, another couple million will come along as a middle class. Will go into the population the same as United States. For those people is a more higher level consumer class, and this is supposed to be over the 10,000 US dollars for the annual salary and GDP per capita. It means PPP level, I think the same, exactly the same as Japanese level. So this is what he's talking.
Real story.
Oh no. So this video is very good, right? So okay, now it's this middle class, and then coming of age of second generation. This is second generation is they're talking about generation 2. The first line is said is the generation 2 means they are after born after the mid 1980s. It's mid 1980s. Yeah.
Oh.
Midnight. In China, Pasiho, they are talking about Pasiho, is 20 to 30, in the middle of 30 years, 35, under 35. So they say generation 2. And this one is, left side is brown, green color is G generation 2. They are very aggressive for spending any kind of, area. They are very much keen for the spending, or leading for the consumption, right? Okay. So this, who are the rich? Oh, this is rich Chinese student. Just 1 minute. This one 1 minute is good enough. And this is very famous for the rich Chinese in the past decade. And second generation, this one, who are that? This is second generation.
So we're going to talk about the second generation rich, or Fu or Dai in Chinese, or SGR as a fancy acronym. We've noticed that besides the cultural gap, there's also a subtle class difference between some of the Chinese students here and the majority of local students. But before we go into that, Cecilia, do you want to fill us in on what happened recently, like the recent scandal involving the Chinese SGR? Okay, yeah. So in late 2012 near Seattle, there was a Chinese international student driving in his newly purchased Mercedes in King County near Seattle. Then he ran into another car, killing the driver and injuring 4 other passengers. The court posted a $2 million bail, expecting, and nobody can bail him out.
This is
so
a very
this
big
much
amount, 2 million.
So his mother came all the way from China and paid.
Sort of talking, yeah, she is talking
check
about
to
1
bail him
minute.
out. So right now we
Just
don't know
1
where
minute,
he.
okay, good enough. So this is especially, instead of parent, they are big consumers, their children. Okay. Also, the former slide shows migrant workers came from local area. They spending money. So because a lot of populations. And then the next one is one-child policy is a boost consumption. Actually, the one-child policy, but not so much effect. But actually, you can see the slide. Left side is the one-child policy is kind of predicting China's size is declining population anyway. And this one is actually two-child policy boosts only 0.5%. It's not so much. And the video shows is that they actually, even if one-child policy, they don't make child anyway. It was.
On this episode of China Uncensored, China ends its one-child policy. Sort of. Hello and welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Big news out of China last week, as explained in this video by British state-run media BBC. Wow, I guess they're putting all their investigative resources into Sherlock. Well, ending an unpopular and draconian population control policy is certainly cause for celebration.
Now, we have the introduction of a new policy, 1 couple, 2 children.
Wait, they're ending the one-child policy by making it a 2-child policy instead? You know, the one-child policy was never supposed to be a permanent thing. It was established in 1979 after a huge population boom in China. After the Communist Party began its rule in 1949, the population of China almost doubled in 30 years. And this wasn't a coincidence. Mao Zedong encouraged people to have lots of kids. That's partially because he was concerned about nuclear war. He said in a 1957 speech that it didn't matter if half of China's population was killed because there were so many people they could just repopulate. At the time, the Communist Party even banned birth control. But eventually, officials started worrying about overpopulation, so they created the one-child policy. It was a massive social engineering project designed to counter the previous social engineering project that got out of hand. It's also not precisely a one-child policy. There are so many exceptions that 2/3 of Chinese people are already allowed to have a second child. For example, farmers whose first child is a girl. So what's the big deal about changing the one-child policy now? For more on this, we go to former one-child and
She's a
copy
very
editor
good
Shelley John.
speaker.
Chris?
Shelley, most people outside of China have a negative view of the one-child policy, but some people
said
also
very
think it
good
was a
message.
necessary evil to stop overpopulation in China. Was the policy a success?